Welcome and thanks for watching. In this video, we will be discussing heterogenic and polygenic traits, including what they have in common, how to distinguish between them, and how to apply our knowledge in given scenarios. First things first, when we talk about heterogenic and polygenic traits, it's important to note that we are talking about traits that are affected by more than one gene. So that means that the phenotypic presentation of a trait is influenced by a number of genes instead of just one. Now that we've set that straight, let's dive into heterogenic traits. In heterogenic traits, a mutation at any one of a number of genes gives rise to the same non-wild type phenotype. An example of this trait is deafness. Deafness can be caused by the inheritance of recessive alleles in any one of over 50 different genes needed for wild type hearing. We see a scaled down example of this on the slide. In this image, the inheritance of recessive alleles in a gene is notated by an asterisk and blue shading. In the first scenario, we see no blue, so no recessive alleles have been inherited in the genes needed for wild-type hearing, and as a result, we get wild-type hearing. In the second scenario, however, we see blue shading at gene B, denoting that recessive alleles have been inherited at this gene. As a result, we get the non-wild-type phenotype of deafness. In the third scenario, we see blue shading in gene D, indicating that recessive alleles have been inherited at gene D. As a result, we once again get the non-wild type phenotype of deafness. As we can see from this example, inheritance of recessive alleles at any one of the 4 genes involved in hearing results in deafness. I hope it is clear that despite the fact that these recessive alleles occur in different genes, gene B in the second scenario and gene D in the third, we see the same effect on phenotype. To supplement this point, because any mutation in alleles across a variety of genes can cause a non-wild type phenotype, we tend to see a lack of consistency in the inheritance patterns of individuals with heterogenic traits. Specifically, we see different inheritance patterns across affected families despite their expression of the same non-wild type phenotype. Going back to the example, imagine gene B has X-linked recessive inheritance while gene D has autosomal recessive. Families with deafness caused by the inheritance of recessive alleles in gene B would then depict a different inheritance pattern in their pedigree than families with deafness caused by inherited recessive alleles in gene D. The variety of inheritance patterns clues us in that a mutation in more than one gene can give rise to a non-wild type phenotype. Now that we understand what a heterogenic trait is, let's describe polygenic traits. A polygenic trait, poly meaning many and genic meaning genes, is one whose expression is affected by the interaction of 2 or more genes, often by the additive accumulation of allelic effects. Because multiple alleles across a number of genes contribute to influencing polygenic traits, we see a broad range of resulting phenotypes. Polygenic traits, therefore, are not as black and white as the traits we have seen that follow Mendelian inheritance. We do not see one color or another, or tall or short, but rather continuous and quantitative traits like IQ, skin color, and height. In humans, hundreds of genes can contribute to a given trait, making it complicated to keep track of all the alleles involved. So to make things a little easier, let's take a look at an extremely simplified example of polygenic inheritance in skin color. As you can see, 3 different genes contribute to the skin color trait. We see gene A, gene B, and gene C are all involved in making a brownish pigment. Now if we look closely, we can see that skin color is additive, with a greater number of dominant alleles, uppercase letters, resulting in a darker complexion. We then can see that a range of complexions correspond to the number of dominant alleles an individual has, with 6 dominant alleles, the max, resulting in the darkest complexion, 3 dominant alleles, the middle value, resulting in an intermediate brown complexion, and 0 dominant alleles, resulting in the lightest complexion. This example shows how we can get a spectrum of slightly different phenotypes with just 3 genes. Now let's put our knowledge to the test. Consider the following question. True or false? When the alleles of 2 or more genes produce a range of phenotypes in a given trait, it is called polygenic inheritance. If you said true, then you're correct. Think back to our skin color example where 3 different genes, genes A, B, and C, were involved in skin pigmentation. Different combinations of recessive and dominant alleles in these 3 genes produced a broad distribution of possible skin pigments, ranging from very pale complexions to very dark. Now let's look at the second question. Imagine a respiratory disease is caused by mutations in a gene on either chromosome 9 or chromosome 16. What kind of trait does this describe? If you said heterogenic, you are correct. Let's break this down. Since we're talking about different chromosomes, we know that we're talking about the influence of two different genes on this respiratory disease. Additionally, we're told this disease can result from a mutation in a gene on either chromosome 9 or chromosome 16, cluing us in that a mutation in either of the two genes listed here results in the same non-wild type phenotype. This matches with our definition of a heterogenic trait and helps us zero in on the second answer choice as the correct answer. That concludes this video. Thanks for watching and have a great day.